Hello, I'm Detective Rex, and you're listening to Rex's podcast. Today's case is one of those that makes even my tail stop wagging. A story of betrayal so deep, it'll make your blood boil. A mother-in-law's fight against a daughter-in-law who thought she could steal everything. Ready? Then hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and comment below telling me where you're listening from. Now let's hear from our guest today. Mabel, the microphone is yours.
Thank you, Detective Rex. You know, people always say blood is thicker than water. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes the water can drown you while the blood just watches. My name is Mabel, and I'm about to tell you the most shocking story of betrayal, manipulation, and revenge you've ever heard. A story where I lost everything I'd built in 67 years of life to a woman who called me mom while stabbing me in the back. You think you know evil? Wait until you meet my daughter-in-law, Haley. This woman didn't just steal my money. She didn't just take my home. She tried to erase me completely. But here's the thing about us old ladies, we've been through wars. And when someone threatens our family, our legacy, everything we've worked for, that's when we show them exactly what we're made of. You want to know how I went from living in a literal shack to watching my daughter-in-law beg for mercy? Buckle up, because this ride gets dark before it gets bright. For 43 years, I built a life with my husband Harold. We started with nothing. 2 kids from broken homes who promised each other we'd create something beautiful. And we did. Harold worked construction while I cleaned houses. 16-hour days, bleeding hands. But we saved every penny. We bought land, built our dream home with our own hands, raised our son Grant in that house, taught him values, hard work, respect, love. When Grant brought Haley home for the first time, I thought I'd gained a daughter. She was sweet, charming, called me mom from day one. She'd help me in the kitchen. Ask about family recipe. Tell me how grateful she was for such a loving family. I welcomed her with open arms. How could I know I was embracing a snake? When Harold got sick 3 years ago, Haley was there, bringing soup, holding his hand, crying with us during doctor visits. She seemed to love him like her own father. But now I know she wasn't caring for my dying husband. She was calculating, planning, waiting. Harold's cancer spread fast. In his final weeks, he could barely speak. But he made sure his will was clear. Everything went to Grant and me. Equal shares. The house, the savings, the life insurance. 43 years of blood, sweat, and tears, protected. Or so I thought. The funeral was beautiful. Haley organized everything. She held my hand as we buried my soulmate, whispered how we'd stick together, how I'd always have a home with them, how Grant would take care of me just like Harold wanted. I believed every word. Why wouldn't I? She was family. But families can be the cruelest of all. 2 weeks after the funeral, Grant came to me with papers, legal documents. His hands were shaking. His eyes couldn't meet mine. "Mom," he said, "Haley thinks we think it would be better if you moved into the small cottage behind the main house." The cottage? You mean the tool shed we'd converted for storage? That cramped, moldy space with one tiny window and no proper insulation? The place where we used to store garden tools and Christmas decorations? "It's temporary," he promised, "just while we figure out the finances." Haley says the main house has too many memories right now. It's making her emotional. Finances? What finances? Harold left us plenty. More than enough for all of us to live comfortably. But I trusted my son. I believed in my daughter-in-law's tears. I packed my belongings into cardboard boxes, moved into that shed that smelled of fertilizer and dampness, told myself it was temporary, that they needed space to grieve, that I was being overly dramatic, that good mothers sacrifice for their children's happiness, even when it breaks their hearts. But temporary became permanent. Days turned to weeks. The cottage got colder, smaller. I asked about moving back to the main house. Grant always had excuses. "Soon, Mom. Haley's just adjusting." Adjusting to what? To having a mansion to herself while her husband's mother lived like a vagrant? I started noticing things. New furniture in my house, expensive cars in my driveway, Haley wearing jewelry I'd never seen, designer clothes. When I asked Grant about money, he got defensive. "Don't worry about finances, Mom. We're handling everything." Handling everything. I wasn't allowed to see bank statements, couldn't access accounts Harold and I built together. My own son was treating me like an outsider. like a burden, like I didn't have rights to the life I'd spent decades creating. You want to know when I realized I'd been played? When I found out Harold's will had been modified. Not the will he signed in my presence with our family lawyer. A different will, a newer will, one that left everything to Grant, with Haley as the primary beneficiary if anything happened to him. My name? Nowhere to be found. 43 years of marriage. 43 years of partnership. And according to this document, I deserved nothing. Not the house I'd helped design. Not the savings I'd helped build. Not even basic respect. When I confronted Grant, he broke down crying. I didn't know, Mom. I swear I didn't know. Haley handled all the legal stuff. She said it was what Dad wanted. What Dad wanted. Harold would never leave me with nothing. Never. This was Haley's work. Her masterpiece of manipulation. She'd isolated me from my son, convinced him I was a burden, made him believe his dying father wanted to abandon his wife of 4 decades. But the worst part, Grant believed her. My own son chose his wife over his mother, chose comfort over truth, chose the easy lie over the hard conversation. And there I was, 67 years old, living in a shed, watching strangers enjoy the life I'd built, feeling like a ghost in my own story. Have you ever felt invisible in your own life? Have you ever watched everything you've worked for slip away while people who are supposed to love you just let it happen? That's betrayal. Real betrayal. Not just losing your money or your house, losing your identity, your worth, your place in the world. Winter came early that year. The cottage had no proper heating. I wore 3 jackets indoors, cooked meals on a hot plate, used a space heater that barely worked. Meanwhile, Haley hosted dinner parties in my dining room, entertained friends in my living room, slept in the bed Harold and I shared for 25 years. She was living my life, and I was surviving in her shadow. Some nights I wondered if this was God's plan, if maybe I deserved this somehow, if maybe Harold really did want to punish me. But then I'd remember his voice, his promises, his love, and I knew this wasn't Harold's choice. This was Haley's crime. She didn't just steal my inheritance. She stole my son. She stole my dignity. She stole my truth. You know what they say about desperate people? We do desperate things. But what they don't tell you is that desperation can also breed clarity. Clarity about who people really are, about what you're willing to fight for, about how far you'll go to reclaim your life. That clarity changed everything. Because I realized something important. Haley had made one crucial mistake. She thought I was just a helpless old woman. She thought I'd fade away quietly, accept my fate, die in that cottage without a fight. But she didn't know about the war I'd fought before, the battles I'd won, the strength I'd built over 67 years of living. She was about to learn that underestimating a mother is the deadliest mistake you can make, and I was about to teach her a lesson she'd never forget. But first, I needed proof, real proof, legal proof, because when you're fighting a snake, you better be sure you can cut off its head. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to see how this story unfolds. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The proof came from the most unexpected place. Harold's oldest friend, Tom, called me one snowy evening. Tom was a retired lawyer. He'd known Harold since they were teenagers. Mabel, he said, I need to tell you something about Harold's will. My heart stopped. Tom, what are you talking about? The real will, Mabel. The one Harold signed 2 weeks before he died. The one Haley tried to destroy. Tom explained everything. Harold had called him secretly during his final weeks, told him he was worried about Haley's behavior, how she kept asking about insurance policies, about property deeds, about what would happen after he was gone. Harold wasn't stupid. He saw the sign, so he made a backup plan. He came to my office in his wheelchair, Tom said, could barely hold a pen, but he signed a new will, left everything to you, Mabel, every single penny, every piece of property. He said if anything happened to him, I should wait 6 months and then contact you directly. He was afraid Haley might try something. Harold knew. My brilliant, loving husband knew his daughter-in-law was planning to rob me, and he protected me from beyond the grave. But there was more. Tom had recordings, phone calls between Harold and him discussing his fears about Haley, video evidence of Harold signing the real will, bank records showing Haley had been stealing money even before Harold died, small amounts at first, then larger ones. She'd been planning this theft for months, maybe years. The will they showed you is fake, Tom said. Forged signature. Backdated documents. I can prove it in court. But Mabel, are you ready for the fight this will bring? Because when we expose this, it's going to destroy more than just Haley. Grant will learn he's been living off stolen money, that his wife is a criminal, that his mother has been suffering because of his choices. This could tear your family apart forever. Tear my family apart? What family? The son who abandoned me? The daughter-in-law who robbed me? The life I'd been erased from? I had nothing left to lose, and everything to gain. That night, I sat in my freezing cottage and made a choice. Not just to fight back, but to win. Completely. Decisively. I wasn't just going to reclaim my inheritance. I was going to expose Haley for exactly what she was. A thief. A liar. A predator who targeted elderly people. Who destroyed families for money. Who turned children against their parents for personal gain. But I wasn't going to be emotional about it. I wasn't going to be vengeful. I was going to be strategic, clinical, precise. Because the best revenge isn't getting mad, it's getting even. And I was about to get very, very even. The next morning, I called Tom. Start the legal process. File every paper. Expose every lie. I want her arrested. I want her prosecuted. I want everyone to know what she did. But that wasn't enough. I also hired a private investigator. Because if Haley was willing to forge Harold's will, what else had she done? What other crimes had she committed? What other families had she destroyed? The investigation took 3 months. 3 months of living in that cottage. 3 months of watching Haley enjoy my life. 3 months of my son avoiding my calls because his wife told him I was causing drama. But those 3 months gave me everything I needed. And let me tell you, Haley had been very, very busy. She hadn't just stolen from Harold and me. She'd stolen from her previous job, embezzled money from the charity where she volunteered, even taken jewelry from Grant's sister during family visits. This woman was a professional con artist, a serial thief who targeted people who trusted her. And I had proof. Mountains of proof. Bank records showing systematic withdrawals. Security footage from jewelry stores where she'd sold stolen items. Witness statements from former colleagues who'd noticed missing funds. Documents with forged signatures that handwriting experts confirmed were fake. Phone records showing calls to accomplices in other states. Even emails discussing her inheritance plans before Harold was even diagnosed. The private investigator called her a family predator, someone who marries into wealthy families specifically to steal their assets. She'd done this before, to another elderly couple in Missouri, taken their money, destroyed their relationships with their children, convinced their son they were becoming senile and needed financial protection, disappeared with $200,000 before anyone realized what happened. The pattern was always the same: target lonely men with aging parents, gain the family's trust, isolate the elderly members, forge documents, steal everything, move to the next state and start over. But she'd made one critical error with me. She'd gotten greedy, stayed too long, thought she was smarter than everyone else, thought an old woman wouldn't fight back, thought she could erase me from my own life and get away with it. She was wrong, and she was about to learn exactly how wrong. Because I wasn't just coming for my money back. I wasn't just coming for my house back. I was coming for justice, real justice, the kind that makes sure predators like her can never hurt another family again. Hit that like button and subscribe because what happens next will blow your mind. Trust me, you've never seen revenge like this. The day I struck back was a Tuesday morning in March. Spring was coming, but there was still snow on the ground. I'd been planning this moment for weeks, coordinating with Tom, the private investigator, and the district attorney's office. Everything had to happen simultaneously, perfectly timed, like a symphony of justice. At exactly 9 a.m., Tom filed the real will in probate court. At 9:15, the police arrived at my house with search warrants. At 9:30, federal agents knocked on Haley's office door with arrest warrants for wire fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. She thought she was untouchable. She thought she'd covered her tracks perfectly. She thought she was smarter than everyone else. She was about to learn that you should never underestimate a woman who's spent 67 years fighting for everything she has. I was sitting in Tom's office when he got the call. "It's done, Mabel. She's in custody. The assets are frozen. The house is being secured. Everything is going exactly as planned." But I wasn't celebrating yet, because I knew Haley. I knew she'd try to manipulate her way out of this. Try to play the victim. Try to turn Grant against me one more time. I was right. Within 2 hours, Grant was at Tom's office. His face was red. His hands were shaking. He was angrier than I'd ever seen him. How could you do this to us, Mom? Haley's pregnant. She's carrying your grandchild and you're having her arrested? Pregnant, this was news to me. And judging by Tom's expression, it was news to everyone else too. Grant, I said calmly, your wife is a criminal. She forged your father's will. She stole our money. She's been lying to you for years. That's impossible. Haley loves this family. She loves me. She's having my baby. Grant, Tom interrupted. We have phone records. Your wife has been planning this theft since before your father died. She's done this to other families. She's a professional con artist. Grant stared at us like we were speaking another language. This is insane. This is all insane. Haley wouldn't, she couldn't, son, I said. I know this is hard, but your father knew. He left recordings. He warned me this might happen. He made sure she couldn't steal everything we built together. Tom played one of Harold's recordings. My husband's weak voice filled the room. I'm worried about Haley, Tom. She keeps asking about money, about what happens when I'm gone. I think she's planning something. I need to protect Mabel. I need to make sure my wife is taken care of. Grant collapsed in his chair. The truth was hitting him like a physical blow. Everything he'd believed, everything he'd built his life on. All lies. His wife wasn't the loving woman he thought he'd married. She was a predator who'd been using him to steal from his own family, who'd manipulated him into abandoning his mother in her darkest hour, who'd turned him into an unwitting accomplice in her crimes against his own blood. The pregnancy, we found out later, that was a lie too. Just another manipulation tactic. Another way to gain sympathy and buy time. Another weapon in her arsenal of deception. She'd even researched pregnancy symptoms online to make her performance more convincing. Had fake ultrasound images made. Told Grant they needed to wait to announce it because of complications. Every tear was calculated. Every emotion was performed. Every moment of tenderness was a transaction designed to steal from us. But here's what Haley didn't count on. Here's what she never understood about our family. We protect each other, even when we're angry, even when we're hurt, even when we've made terrible mistakes. Grant looked at me with tears in his eyes. Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have known. I should have protected you. I should have questioned things when they didn't make sense. You were grieving, I told him. She took advantage of your grief. She manipulated your love for your father. She used your trust against you. But you're my son. You'll always be my son. And now we're going to fix this together. The legal process took 8 months. 8 months of trials and testimonies and evidence presentations. But it was worth every day. Haley was convicted on 14 counts of fraud, theft, and elder abuse, sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. All assets were returned to their rightful owners. The house, the savings, the life insurance, everything Harold and I had built together, everything that was rightfully mine. But more importantly, other families were protected. The investigation into Haley led to arrests in 3 other states. Other con artists in her network were exposed. Other elderly victims got their money back. Other children learned the truth about the people who'd manipulated them. Grant and I moved back into the house together. Our house. The house Harold and I built. The house where we raised our son. Where we created a lifetime of memories. Grant apologized every day for months. For believing Haley's lies. For abandoning me when I needed him most. For choosing comfort over truth. It took time to rebuild our relationship. Trust doesn't heal overnight. But love is stronger than betrayal. Family is stronger than manipulation. Truth is stronger than lies. And me? I learned something important about myself. I learned that age doesn't make you weak. Experience doesn't make you helpless. Being kind doesn't make you stupid. And being patient doesn't mean you won't fight back when pushed too far. Sometimes the quietest people have the loudest roars. Sometimes the most gentle souls have the strongest spines. Sometimes the most loving hearts have the most devastating anger when their families are threatened. Haley thought she was stealing from a helpless old woman. What she actually did was awaken a warrior. A mother who'd spent 67 years learning how to fight, how to survive, how to protect the people she loves. She picked the wrong family. She targeted the wrong woman. She underestimated the wrong mother. And she paid the price for all of it. Today, I live in my own home again. Sleep in my own bed. Cook in my own kitchen. Grant and I have dinner together every Sunday. We talk about Harold, about the lessons he taught us, about the love that protected us even after death, about the importance of questioning things that don't feel right, about standing up for truth even when it's difficult, even when it costs us something. People ask me if I'm angry about the time I lost, the months in that cottage, the money that was stolen, the relationships that were damaged, the grandchild I'll never have. And you know what I tell them? I'm grateful. Grateful that Harold protected me from beyond the grave. Grateful that Tom was loyal to our friendship. Grateful that the truth came out before it was too late. Grateful that justice was served. Grateful that my son came back to me. Grateful that other families were saved. Because that's what this story is really about. It's not about money or houses or inheritance. It's about family. Real family. The kind that fights for each other. The kind that protects each other. The kind that forgives each other. The kind that chooses truth over comfort. Love over lies. Justice over peace. Haley thought she could destroy that. She thought she could buy it, manipulate it, control it. But real family isn't something you can steal. It's something you earn, something you build, something you protect with everything you have. And when someone threatens that, when someone tries to destroy what you've spent a lifetime creating, that's when you show them exactly what you're made of. That's when you prove that love is stronger than greed. That truth is more powerful than lies. That justice, real justice, always finds a way to win in the end. So to anyone listening who's being betrayed by someone they trust, who's watching their life be stolen by someone they love, who feels invisible in their own story, remember this: you're stronger than you know. You're worth more than they think. You have more power than they realize. Don't give up. Don't fade away. Don't let them erase you. Fight back. Get proof. Get help. Get justice. Because you deserve to live in your own life. You deserve to be respected in your own family. You deserve to be protected by the people who claim to love you. And if they won't protect you, then protect yourself. Fight for yourself. Because you're worth fighting for. Your story matters. Your life matters. Your truth matters. Never let anyone convince you otherwise. That's my story. That's my truth. That's my victory. Not just over Haley, but over every person who thinks they can take advantage of kindness, who thinks they can prey on love, who thinks they can steal from people who trust them. They're wrong, and if they try it on you, show them exactly how wrong they are.
What an incredible story of resilience and justice. Mabel, thank you for sharing your journey with us. Your courage has undoubtedly inspired countless others who might be facing similar betrayals. To everyone listening, this case proves that justice may be slow, but it's never too late. If this story moved you, smash that like button right now, subscribe to this channel, and share this with at least 5 people who need to hear this message. Comment below with your thoughts and let me know where you're listening from. Stories like this remind us why we never give up the fight for truth. I'm Detective Rex. Until our next case, and stay tuned for 2 more incredible stories coming up next that you absolutely cannot miss.